Hello Dogs fans, welcome to another episode of After the Dogs Roar for season 2016. Now this episode is for after round 17, another bumper show coming up this week. It will start with a review of the round 17 clash v the Gold Coast Suns in Cairns before looking at my votes and then putting that match in the archives. We're going to also do a stats wrap up for after round 17, looking at the leading goal kickers, marks, disposals and tackles. You know the drill, you know how that works. A VFL overview is also coming up. It was a ripper match in our VFL clash v the Casey Scorpions. Looking forward to giving you my view and having a look at that match a bit later on in the episode. The Bevis burning question, I've got a real big question coming up in the Bevis burning question segment for this week, so do stick around for that. And then we're also going to get into a preview of the round 18 clash v the Saints, which is on Saturday night at Etihad Stadium. I'm actually going to this match. I'm flying over from Tasmania to watch it and I cannot wait. And then the show will finish off with a fan favourite segment. It is the 5 fan questions. Had a bit of a break last week from that segment, but it's back this week, bigger than ever. So let's get stuck in to having a look at the match v the Gold Coast Suns. So on Saturday night we were at Cairns for our home game against the Gold Coast Suns. And, well, we were a bit shaky early in my opinion, especially in the first 10 minutes before finally adapting to, I guess, the conditions and also the game to then power away and really get a solid grip on the game after the first 10 minutes of the match. I thought we just powered through this game, probably did what we had to do and came away with the 4 points. We led at every change and we won by 48 points. It's as simple as that. The final score, the Western Bulldogs 15-17, 107, defeated the Gold Coast Suns 8-11, 59. Now, Kobe Stevens had 34 disposals and 7 clearances. He had a really good game in this match. Mitch Wallace and Clay Smith kicked 3 goals each. They probably had their best game of season 2016 in this match v the Suns. Let's have a look at the goal kickers for the Western Bulldogs in this match. Smith kicked 3, Wallace kicked 3, as I mentioned. Piggin kicked 2, Stevens kicked 2 as well. You then had Stringer, Redpath, Jong, Boyd and Dixon kicking singles each. And then the best players for the Dogs, Wood got best on ground, Stevens second best, Biggs, Bontempelli, Smith, McRae and Hunter also got in the best players for this week. So just recapping quickly on the match, I thought we probably did what we had to do. I thought we we got the 4 points in the end and went up to Cairns and obviously did what we had to do. The only criticism I'd have for the match is the 17 behinds. I think a lot of people have that criticism. It's not good enough really. We should be able to, especially in AFL, we should be able to take our chances and be clinical in front of goal, which is something we've been struggling at doing this year, no doubt about it. So we really need to fix it up, especially when we verse teams like Geelong in the second time round. Of course, St Kilda, if we miss chances like that, they're going to they're going to take the game away. Well, not take the game away, but they're going to power on and be a bit more clinical if we're not clinical. So if that makes sense. So, but I thought we did what we had to do. We played nicely. We got the 4 points, and there was a lot of good things coming out of the match. I think the Clay Smith, how well he played, is fantastic. And Mitch Wallace played really well as well. You also had a couple of other players as well. Stevens, for example, as I mentioned, 34 disposals in the match. He was superb. So we came away with the 4 points. That 17 behind's not good enough, but the rest of the game I thought we did pretty well. It was good to see Boyd back as well. He kicked a goal in the match. And I was pretty happy. We got the 4 points. We did what we had to do. Looking forward to the game against the Saints. By the way, I just want to ask everyone, what's your opinion on playing games in Cairns? Of course, this is our third year in a row playing a game in Cairns against the Gold Coast Suns. I'll give you my opinion, and the simple opinion of me is that I love the idea. I think it's fantastic that we're bringing the game to Cairns each and every year over the last 3 years. I think it's fantastic. If you know me well, you know my opinion on how how football's being brought here in Tasmania in the North Melbourne and Hawthorn deal. So it's the same up there. It's fantastic the Western Bulldogs can bring games to Cairns, at least one game a year, and play up there. And it also engages more fans into the game, which is fantastic. Melbourne do the same with Darwin and Alice Springs. It's a fantastic thing, and of course it will only escalate once we get Eureka Stadium all built and ready to go. Of course, we may not be able to play a game in Cairns after that stadium is built, because we'll be playing games at Eureka, but it's fantastic that we can play a game each year in Cairns. I'm all for it. I'm 100% behind it. I know some fans are a bit kind of not happy with it because it takes away a game from Melbourne, but the Western Bulldogs, they make up for that anyway with the replacement game during the year for members, so I'm 100% behind it. I think it's fantastic that we are playing a game each year in Cairns, and it's been a very big success in the last 3 years. We haven't lost there yet, and the crowd was fantastic. Just over 8,000 people into Kazali Stadium. I think it's fantastic that we can bring a game up there each and every year. I hope it continues for a bit longer before Eureka's built, and of course the Eureka Stadium experiment, the games there is going to be absolutely fantastic. Okay, time now to get into my votes for the After the Dogs Raw Best and Fairest Award for round 17 for the Gold Coast Suns. We start with my one vote to Clay Smith. I thought he played beautifully. I thought he's probably played one of his best games for this year. Of course, we know that he's only been back for a couple of rounds, so this was no doubt his best game for season 2016. Very interesting where he played. Forward line. Wouldn't have quite have guessed it. I thought maybe the midfield kind of half forward is probably where he's preferred, but he was actually playing sort of full forward a bit, which really worked out well because he was marking it at the back pretty well, on the chest. He was marking it beautifully and kicking goals for us. He kicked 3 in the end, so and a couple of 3 posters, so and 4 behind. So he was really good in this match. I was really pleased. So he definitely deserves at least 1 vote, and that's exactly what he got in my votes. I gave 2 votes to Mitch Wallace. I thought he did fantastic in this match. I thought he played his best game for season 2016. He's played a couple of good games, had a few poor patches as well. I think over the last couple of weeks he hasn't been to his best, but in this match he really was good, and especially he was a bit like Clay Smith. He was kicking goals up in that forward line, doing some great things for us, so he gets 2 votes from me. And then 3 votes goes to Kobe Stevens. I thought he was outstanding. Like I mentioned before, 34 disposals, 7 clearances, fantastic effort from him. Of course, been out due to injury the last few weeks, so good to have him playing well, and especially when we're entering the back end of the season. So that is my votes for the After the Dogs Raw Best and Fairest Award. The leaderboard, I'm not going to show it until after round 23. Now, I will be giving votes into the finals, so how far we go into the finals will be where I give votes. So the leaderboard will basically, or the competition, the award will basically end in our last game. So I'll show the leaderboard at the end of round 23. I can tell you now, though, there has been a couple of changes since I last showed it. Okay, time now for the stats wrap-up after round 17. You know the drill, the leading goal kickers, disposals, marks and tackles. Let's get straight into the leading goal kickers as we normally do. Jake Stringer still leads, as he has been since round 1. He leads on 34 goals. Jack Redpath on 19 in second. Tory Dixon and Marcus Bonampelli are level third with 16 goals. And then fifth is Tom Liberatore on 13 goals. Of course, we know that Tom Liberatore was out injured in the game against the Suns, but still maintains a top 5 spot in the leading goal kickers. The leading disposals, Lachie Hunter has a 41 disposal lead to next best Jack McRae on 439. Lachie Hunter's leading with 480 disposals. Matthew Boyd is third on 422 disposals. You then have Marcus Bontempelli fourth on 393. And then fifth is Mitch Wallace, who played, in my opinion, his best game of season 2016 on Saturday night. He is in fifth with 378 disposals. We have the leading marks. There's no surprise that Matthew Boyd leads the marks. He's been sensational marking those marks across the back line and also in other areas of the ground. He leads on 112 marks. Lachie Hunter, however, not far behind him on 109. Dale Morris a bit far behind Lachie Hunter on 80 marks. Liam Pickens on 76 marks, joint fourth with Shane Biggs, who is also on 76 marks. And finally, the leading tackles. Tom Liberatore leads the marks on 87. Jack McRae's on 80. You then have Marcus Bontempelli in third on 71. Luke Dalehouse in fourth on 66. And Liam Picken on 60 tackles in fifth. I forgot to mention that Liam Picken, very unlucky to miss out on a vote this week in the After the Dogs Raw Best and Fairest Award votes for round 17. He played a very good game on Saturday night. Just couldn't quite slot him in there. I thought Smith, Wallace and Stevens were the standouts, and he was just unlucky to miss out. So, forgot to mention that before. Thought I'd mention it now. So that is the stats wrap up for after round 17. Okay, time now to have a look at the AFL ladder and where we stand. I've been looking forward to having a look at the ladder because you can see there that we are third on the 2016 AFL ladder after round 17. It's fantastic, and now that we enter the back end of the season with not many games to go, we can really try and cement a top 4 place, but also possibly a top 2 place, because we're right up there with the Adelaide Crows, who has a bit better percentage than us. Of course, they've got some tough. They've got a tough game next week, but other than that, a very easy run home. So they're going to be hard to knock off in second. But I tell you what, it's looking very good, a top 4 spot at the moment. And third, I would take that, I reckon. I'd take a double chance, but I'd really love a home final by getting that second spot. That'd be fantastic. But third, of course, we versed 10th place St Kilda on Saturday night. Jesus, a close competition this year, isn't it? Especially in that top 8. It is just, it's just changing every round. It's so exciting, and now that we're sitting in third, it just gets more and more exciting each and every round. Okay, time now to have a look at probably one of the best VFL games of this season. It was the Footscray Bulldogs and the Casey Scorpions at Whitten Oval on Sunday at 11:40 AM. It was the TV game, so people in Melbourne were treated to a fantastic VFL game, it must be said. There was a little bit of wind, I believe, at Whitten Oval on Sunday. There was a favourable side, and of course the Casey Scorpions, one of the top teams in the VFL this season, was always going to be proving to be a tough task for us. And it was proving that way in the first quarter, because the Casey Scorpions led 33-12 at quarter time to us, the Footscray Bulldogs. At half-time, however, the score was us in front, the Footscray Bulldogs, 51-34. Casey Scorpions were only restricted to 1 behind in the second quarter, so that wind must have proven a little bit of a part in this game, and we just got a bit of a roll there in the second quarter. There was a similar scenario, however, in the third quarter, because the same happened in the third quarter as it did the second quarter, except reverse. So the Footscray Bulldogs were restricted to a single point in the third quarter, and the Casey Scorpions were able to power on a few goals to lead at three-quarter time, 82-52. That is a 30-point margin, and can you believe it? In the last quarter, our Footscray Bulldogs came back to win the game by a single point. Again, the Casey Scorpions were restricted to only 1 point in the fourth term, and we were able to get over the line by a single point. The final score being the Footscray Bulldogs 12-12-84, defeating the Casey Scorpions 13-5-83. Thrilling match in the end. It was fantastic, and it keeps our top 4 chances alive in the VFL. So fantastic win there. It's always exciting to win by a point because, you know, your heart's racing and you can just, it happens in the AFL. We know we've had that experience in the last 2 weeks, and I'm sure people at the ground and watching on TV, Footscray fans, would have experienced that. I know that I did watching the match. So the goal kickers, Bailey Dale got 4 for the Footscray Bulldogs. We then had Stavely, Minson kicking 2 each, Russell DeGleesh, Teffa Bewick and also Hamlin kicking singles in this match for our reserve side. And the best players in this match, Dale played a very good game. You then had Russell, Honeychurch, Adcock, Barry and Minson in the best players as well. So if Libba doesn't come back next week, we do have Dale, Honeychurch or Adcock to bring into the side if Libba is not fit for next week, even to replace Stringer if he is, of course, not right next week, which is kind of a 50-50 at this present stage, could be likely. So a good win there by the Footscray Bulldogs. Let's see where we stand on the ladder now. Okay, so let's have a look at the ladder, and we are currently sitting in 6th place with our top 4 chances alive, and well, Port Melbourne are 4 points clear of us on 5th, so we need to keep on winning, that's for sure, especially at this back end of the season in the VFL. A winnable game coming up when we verse 11th place Northern Blues on Sunday at 2 p.m. at Icken Park. That is at Princess Park for those who don't recognise the name Icken Park. So that's a winnable game there in round 16 of the VFL season. It's heating up in the VFL, isn't it, as well? Very close there. And hopefully for our VFL side we can cement a top 4 spot. Hopefully do what we did a couple of years ago, and that's win the VFL Grand Final. That would be stunning, wouldn't it? So 6th place, winnable game coming up on Sunday. Let's hope we can win that from a reserves team point of view. Okay, time now for the Bevis burning question, and my burning question for this week is, was the Lynn John saga a load of crock? Well, in my opinion, it was 100% a load of crock. Now, I'm not talking about whether it was true or false, the rumours. We all know that it was true. I'm just saying that the big deal that was made out of a few people was absolutely crap. Let's just go through a few things. Now, it happens every year, and it's allowed to happen. Players are allowed to have discussions with other clubs, especially when they're just about to be out of contract. It's just like having a job and looking at another kind of path. You know, Lin Jong is just exploring his options. Collingwood hasn't done anything wrong at all. You know, obviously they're interested in Lin Jong, and they've decided to, you know, have discussions with him and just, you know, they're just general chats. It happens every year. It doesn't always end up with the player going to the club. I can think of a couple of examples. Travis Boak being one of them a couple of years ago. Geelong having discussions with him. That didn't turn out to be anything. In fact, Travis Boak stayed at Port Adelaide and was the captain the next season. So this really was a load of crock. I know some fans and supporters of the Western Bulldogs were a bit disappointed in Ling Jong. I know a couple of people were saying drop him, which is absolutely bizarre how you could say that, because Lin Jong is still a contracted player at the Western Bulldogs. He's not out of contract yet, and until the end of the season he is, I'm sure, committed, and we continue to support him, especially as a Western Bulldogs supporter group, continue to support him through this year, because he still has a role to play at the Western Bulldogs this season, especially in our 2016 path. So whether he stays next year or not is something that has to remain until the end of the season. Obviously we can't focus on that. But seriously, some people have got a bit overwhelmed by this. Just, calm down. Every player in the competition who's out of contract, I'm sure, is exploring their options. Why wouldn't you? Just seeing if there's some other little paths. I'm sure he'll stay at the Western Bulldogs, so I'm confident he will. I don't think he'll go elsewhere next year. And I reckon if we continue to play him this season, he'll definitely stay. So, he knows that we're in an exciting part in our club's history at the moment, and he'll want to be a part of that. So he's just exploring his options. He's still a contracted player, however, and he's still required at the club, and until he's out of contract, he will obviously give 100%. So for those who are saying drop him, that's completely bizarre. And it was a load of crock, I thought. You know, people made a big deal out of absolutely nothing, which was, and something that happened that was not really that wrong, to be honest. It happens in every sport, to be honest. Premier League, NRL, it happens. It just happens, it's just one of those things, and it's allowed to happen, and we have to deal with it. So, but at the moment, we are supporting Lin Jong, and the support, I'm sure, will get him to stay. Okay, time now to have a look at our Round 18 clash v the Saints on Saturday night at 7:25 PM Australian Eastern Time. That's Saturday the 23rd of July. If you want to know the date, it is live on Fox Sports 3. And if you don't know already, of course, like I mentioned at the start of the episode, I'll be flying over for this match. This will be my third Bulldogs match for this season. Really looking forward to it. It's always great when I get to fly over to Melbourne, one of my favourite cities, in fact, my favourite city to go to, and watch a game of football, especially when it's your side, the Western Bulldogs. So I'm really looking forward to this one. I'll tell you what, on Sunday, St Kilda were semi-impressive against Melbourne. Of course, they really dominated the second half and took the game away from Melbourne pretty much in the end. I think we'll beat them, though. I think we'll be far too strong. But I'm actually kind of, thinking that this might just be a good game of football, because we know St Kilda have actually played well in Etihad Stadium this season. So they'll really take it up to us. It might not be like the round 2 clash, but I think we'll take the game away from them in the end and win the game pretty convincingly. But it's going to be a good game of football. I think we need to expect that. And it could be similar to the game against Richmond, but it may be an extensive lead than that, but still be close, if you know what I mean. And Tom Liberatore, we know that he had a week off against the Gold Coast Suns. Hopefully he comes back and returns against the Saints. Hopefully he is 100% fit. But then again, if he's not, I'd rather him miss than be injured during our final series. So big game coming up against the Saints. We need to win this. We need to win every game pretty much until the end of the season to guarantee a good spot. Of course, that game against Geelong is going to be difficult, and we'll talk about that next week because I have some great views on that game. But we're in a very good spot at the moment. If we keep winning, we'll really cement that spot. Okay, time now for the 5 fan questions. Of course, I gave this segment a bit of a break last week, but it's back this week, and I've got 5 good questions to answer here from you, the Western Bulldog fans, in the Western Bulldogs fan forum on Facebook. So the first question is from Matt Button. The question is, what do the team need to do to improve their goal kicking? I've answered this question a few times over the course of this season. The only thing I can really say is that, and I'm sure the players are doing this during training, is just working on their technique on how they kick the ball. Of course, practicing in front of goals, working with, of course, Daniel Jericusa, the forward coach, in being able to really get that technique right so you're able to shoot for goal. Of course, trying different angles. And, the pre-game routine is very important for players as well, especially forwards. Players should be in their free time. I know a lot of clubs give players free time where they normally go on the ground for about 20 minutes or so. They should be using that time to go onto the ground, test the conditions, and test the kicking in basically during the conditions to then, be able to, adapt to the conditions and be able to kick it in a right manner, so you can be a bit more clinical towards the goal. That's the only thing I can really say. We might need a forward goal kicking coach. Sorry, maybe that's a possibility. I know a lot of people have raised that as a thing and I guess an idea, and I know Barry Hall's been in the mix for that. But I think Daniel Jericusa's I think he's responsible for that sort of thing, especially goal kicking, considering he's the forward coach. So the only thing I can really say is just keep practicing, really, in conditions. Practice before the game, practice in training, practice on your technique. I know a lot of players, the technique might be a bit, a bit wobbly. Practice when running on the run, when kicking on the run, can be difficult to kick a ball when you're on the run, and can be difficult to get that accuracy for some players when on the run, when you're running and kicking it. I know that might sound silly to some, but that is actually true in my opinion. So that's all I can really say. I'm not a goal kicking coach. I'm not really a professional myself, but what I got taught was that you hold the ball, and this is how to kick a drop punt. You hold the ball where you can see the laces, and you drop it onto the boot, and bang, you've got a pretty accurate kick. So that's all I can really say to answer that question. John asks, does Wallace play his best footy when Libba is not playing? It's an interesting question, actually. I looked at this first and thought, not really sure, and I'm still not really sure, to be honest, how to answer this question. But he was fantastic on Saturday night, and yeah, I'm not sure. I haven't really had a look at his past games when Libba has not been playing. He was pretty good last year when obviously Libba was injured for the year. So I'm not really sure, though. I'm sure he works well with Liberatore, and I think the difference with him on Saturday night, as opposed to other games, was that they probably played him a bit deeper forward on Saturday night than usual. So that was probably that's probably answers your question, basically. So yeah, I'm not really sure. I don't think so. I think he works well with Liberatore. I think it was just that they played him a bit deeper forward, which was why he played so well. Bit of a funny question, this one. Melton Bogan asks, would everyone from this forum like to come to my caravan park for the monster of all after parties if we win the premiership? Very, very funny there. I tell you what, I'd love to come, no doubt about that. I'd love to get involved after the premiership and get to that party. Not sure if it's suitable for underage blokes who are in the, and underage blokes and women who are in the forum. But you can confirm that, Melton. Maybe there's an invite for those people as well. But I tell you what, that would be a very good party. I know you're very funny on the forum. I just can't imagine how funny you'll be in person. That would be a fantastic party. So I'd love to go. I'm not sure about everyone else in the forum, but I'd love to be there. Jack Plant asks, should we think about bringing in Adcock, Honeychurch or Dale to recover the loss of Libba and Stringer? Well, they are options, of course. Libba's no doubt not guaranteed to play this week. We still don't know if he's actually going to be 100% fit. I know someone did mention that he's expected to play, but I'm not buying that. I think we have to wait until Thursday to actually see if he's actually 100% fit to play. Of course, the doctors have to assess him and he has to pass a test. But for Stringer, I think Honeychurch or Dale is probably the correct, basically the correct person to bring in for Stringer. You've obviously got Adcock, who played well on Sunday, so he could come in for Libba if Libba's not fit. So I think so. I think that's a good thing to do, Jack. Final question from Matty Lyons states, if bad kicking is bad football, we must be terrible, right? Well, yeah, we must be terrible. That's one way of putting it. But no, obviously we have other aspects of our game which makes us a very good side. Of course, our run and carry, etc. It's just our bad kicking is, our kicking is just a bad thing of our game at the moment. Our weak thing of the game is, of course, times where we just cannot be so clinical in front of goal, which is not good enough. Of course, like I mentioned before, 17 behinds. Not really good enough in a game of football, especially in a tight one. We've seen teams over the years lose in games where they've kicked so many behinds and more goals, and yet they've still lost. I think that's just a weak part of our game at the moment. We're not terrible because there is a lot of other aspects of our game that are fantastic. But I just think that our kicking is the weak part of our game at the moment, and that's what we need to fix up, especially leading into finals. Maybe something we might not be able to fix up until next season, though, considering where it's been at this year. But hopefully we can fix it up before finals, because it is going to come down to that. And that is it for this episode of After the Dogs Roar. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this episode for after round 17. Now, like I mentioned last week, I am going to the game against St Kilda. Looking forward to travelling over. If you do see me, feel free to wave your hand, say hello. Would like to interact with all other fans who watch this show. It's always fantastic to see those who support the show. So do say hello if you do see me at the ground. I'm looking forward to the match on Saturday. So I hope you all are too, for those who are going. And looking forward to doing another episode of this show next week. So until then, I'm Jacob. Enjoy the game on Saturday night. Until next week, go Dogs. Bye for now.